Hi guys, happy Wednesday. It's me, old quarantine coach again. You need to get out your 16.1 questions from yesterday. It's time for us to get that graded up. So let's go. LETSGO. Educational train is leaving the station. Woo, woo. So it's time to get on board. Let's get those questions out from yesterday. If you weren't here yesterday, as soon as we're done grading them, then you'll go get the questions and you can get that book and get after it. Okay? Grade these as we go along. At the end, the sub will come by and she will check to make sure that you got it. If you don't have it, then she's going to text me so I can record the zero, so we make sure we're taking care of everything. Okay? Be sure you got the right answers by the time you leave today. Here we go, 16.1. Number 1 says, what fueled revolutions after World War I? We've already talked about it. A worldwide depression. When things are bad, people go looking for anything. And usually they look for one person. It's simplest to find one person who's going to get us out of this. And that's why you have the rise of dictatorships. Mussolini, Franco, Hitler, Stalin, the emperor in Japan. You're looking for one person who's going to solve your problems. And so when things are bad, that's when you get the crazies. So when things go bad, look out for the crazies. Number 2, what is nationalism? One of the first things that dictators do is appeal to your nationalism. The idea, for instance, that Hitler would say, hey, Germany's a great nation. We should be protecting Germans everywhere, and the rest of the world should be doing things like Germans. Japan says the same thing, that we should be protecting this great Asian race, particularly from the people of China, and that they deserve to be under our control because Japan is the greatest country in the world. Nationalism is excessive devotion to your country, that your country is the most important thing, that all other countries should basically be subservient to you. Same thing happened in Italy. In fact, it happens in Italy first, and it's going to happen in the Soviet Union. Dictators always push nationalism, your country, and your love for your country or even your race. Number 3, we'll hit this real quick. How did the Treaty of Versailles lead to high German unemployment? Remember, they were having to pay war reparations, so that's billions of dollars going from Germany to Great Britain and France. The only way that governments get money is through taxation. So Germans had very high taxes if they had a job because, number 4, they had high German unemployment. Actually, I just swapped 3 and 4, but you'll figure it out. Okay? What leads to high German unemployment, what the Treaty of Versailles does, remember they could have no military, pretty much, no weapons factories, the coal mines are taken away. So all those folks are out of a job on top of the fact that they're trying to recover from a war. Millions are dead. They owe this money to Great Britain and France. And so on top of just a normal depression, they have this other unemployment on top of it, added by the Treaty of Versailles, which kind of leads to German resentment, especially towards France. Dang French. Anyway, now I'm on number 5. So you have these rise of dictators in the Soviet Union. The communist dictator in 1924 is going to be a guy named Joseph Stalin. That's not even his real name. He gave himself that name. Stalin in Russian, Stalin, means the man of steel. That's right. He named himself the man of steel. So you got to figure he's probably about half jerk anyway. He becomes the communist dictator. It's the first communist government, the first time that the government is going to own and control everything. Government took all the farms so that nobody would starve. Everyone would get this food and share, and it's going to be a problem. He's going to be the dictator of the Soviet Union for 29 years. Number 6, while he's there, it's a guesstimate that he kills between 8 and 12 million of his own people. Yes, Hitler's bad. Hitler's easy. All right, again, don't go home and say, boy, Perkins, he sure likes him some Hitler. No, it's just that there are lots of other awful folks. And Stalin, really, over time, kills even more of his own people. He got to the point where he's very paranoid. He thought everyone was a spy. Everyone's coming out to get him. And so if you weren't on board, he just got rid of you. He'd send you off to Siberia to work farms, and you just never returned. Okay? And he's in the Soviet Union at that time. Number 7, and that is what's called a totalitarian government. It comes from the word total. A totalitarian government is just another word for a dictatorship. One person has total control. In a dictatorship, you don't have lots of political parties. You don't have Democrats and Republicans and Libertarians. You have the Communist Party. That's it. And so you have one person or one party who has total control. They decide what businesses are going to do, how they're going to do it, what you're going to do, how the government's going to operate. That's totalitarian, okay, which is bad. Okay. Number 8, the first guy in this whole dictator train is in Italy. It's Benito Mussolini. His group is called the Fascists. Now, anytime someone talks about being fascist, you're really talking about a dictator. He is the blueprint for Hitler. Hitler looks at what Mussolini does, gets the people rallied behind him, pushes nationalism. We're going to have this great Roman Empire. Builds a military, goes and takes other people's stuff. It starts to show their strength again. Hitler looks at that, and that's kind of his blueprint. He's going to be, initially, Mussolini is kind of his mentor, and eventually he and Hitler swap those roles. Okay, until Mussolini's put on trial, and they hang him in the parking lot of a gas station. But don't worry about that. Number 9, who becomes the dictator of Germany in the 1930s? Again, that's Adolf Hitler. Please know, initially, he is elected to a smaller representative role. But the Nazi party, his political party, starts to gain enough membership that people in politics give him more power because they just don't want to put up with him until the point he essentially takes all power. And that's why you can't give in to a bully. We'll talk about that here in a little bit. Number 10, how was he elected to lower office? Remember, we talked about this. He promised to get people jobs, and he got them jobs. Okay? Again, initially, Germany's the first country to get out of the Great Depression. He stops doing everything in the Treaty of Versailles. He rebuilds the military, rebuilds weapon plants, quits paying war reparations, takes back the coal mines. So now all those people have their jobs back. Their taxes are lowered because they're not paying war reparations. And again, if he stopped right there, boom, he's Times Man of the Year. He got him out of the Great Depression. He's got things rolling. But one of the things to remember about the Treaty of Versailles that they did to Germany is they took some land from Germany. This is the point where Hitler's going to go off the rails. Up to this point, he undoes everything in the Treaty of Versailles, and it's cool. He gets everybody jobs. But now he's going to go after the part about the losing land. Okay. Number 11, his political party was the National Socialist Party, called the Nazi Party. And one of his beliefs, he writes this book while he's in prison for attempting to overthrow the government. He writes a book called Mein Kampf. One of the things that he lays out is that there's this great master race of people called Aryans that he believed were the superior race. Generally, those are blonde-haired, blue-eyed people from Nordic regions, Norway, Sweden, Finland. And again, it doesn't make any sense that he really isn't Aryan. But anyway, and this is more than just an idea. I mean, he went out of his way to create this race of people. I mean, there were babies born. You would take Aryan man, Aryan woman, babies born. They were taken and raised by the government. Again, he literally, like a Marvel cartoon, is trying to create this super master race of people that the rest of us should be subservient to. Okay. Number 13, why did Japan feel like it needed the land of its neighbors? Because it needed room. Japan's a small island. Remember, it's just an underground volcano. It can't grow anything there. They don't have oil. And so they needed space, living space for their people. But more than anything, they needed oil. They're going to have this great military that needs fuel, and they've got to have oil to get that fuel. And so initially, they head to China, and eventually they want to get down to Australia. They want to come down the coast, the Asian coast, and get to Australia because they want oil to have this huge Japanese empire. Spain also has a civil war, and they're going to have a communist dictator put in place. Essentially, Hitler helps put him in place because I guess there's like a dictators club, and they all agree just to be dictators together, and that'd be cool. And so in Spain, there's going to be a guy named Francisco Franco. Francisco Franco becomes the dictator of Spain, and he kind of is an ally of Hitler, but really for the most part, he kind of keeps to himself. He's going to outlast some of these other guys because he kind of keeps to himself. So all this is going on. You got all these different dictators. This is before the war ever even starts. Have all these dictators, and they want power. They're trying to establish their military, show that they are a great world power. In Germany and Italy and Japan, they're all trying to show that their race of people is the greatest race of people in the world. Okay? All while there's this worldwide depression. So people are down, they need something to look to, and they're being told, hey, you're the greatest country in the world, you're the greatest race of people in the world, and we're going to show everybody. Okay? We're going to show them how dominant that our country and our race is. And so that's kind of building up. It's already happened in Japan as Japan just brutally attacks China. Okay? And while all this is going on, all these dictators rise, everyone sees kind of what's going on. They know it's not a good thing. They don't know where it's going to start, when it's going to stop. But the reason nobody does anything about it is because they're in the middle of a depression. The United States especially, we're in the middle of a depression. We can't go get involved in a war again. We just got out of one. Okay? And so while we see what Hitler's doing, it's not really a surprise to us. We see what Mussolini's doing. We see what the Japanese are doing. We don't do anything about it because we got our own problems. Great Britain has their own problems. France has their own problems because everyone's in the middle of a depression. Okay? It's hard to think about other people, other countries, when you have got such terrible problems yourself. So at the beginning of the war, the United States is neutral. Okay? As war breaks out, and war technically is going to be when Germany invades Poland. When war breaks out, the United States, just like in World War I, is going to be neutral. Okay? Make sure you got all that. You're going to have yourself a quiz tomorrow, okay, over all that. Here in a second, you're going to grab your phone. She's going to put on the boring World War II movie. You can listen to your deviltry, binge watch whatever it is you got going on. Don't watch any creepy stuff. Don't ask to go anywhere or do anything because she's going to tell you no. And you can be mad at me. And there's nothing you can do about it because I'm in my kitchen. So you guys be good. I'll see you tomorrow. Be ready for your quiz. Be sure you got your dadgum Google Classroom all sorted out there, Jimmy Internet. You guys have a good day. I'll see you later.